right, let's dive right in. When you talk about AI in the workplace today, you're really talking about two completely different and kind of contradictory stories. On one hand, you hear this amazing promise of supercharged creativity and productivity. And on the other, you hear this terrifying warning of massive job disruption. Today, we're going to unpack both sides of this revolution. I mean, the narrative is totally split, right? Is AI going to be our greatest professional tool ever? Or is it about to unleash what some are calling a white-collar bloodbath? The truth, as it's unfolding right now, is way more complicated than either of those headlines. So where do we even begin? Well, let's start with the boom. So let's be clear. In 2025, AI isn't some cool experiment that companies are just tinkering with anymore. For a whole lot of businesses, and a number that's growing fast, it's become as essential as the internet. It's not a side project, it's core infrastructure. You know, Reid Hoffman, the co-founder of LinkedIn, he really hit the nail on the head with this one. He said, AI, like most transformative technologies, grows gradually, then arrives suddenly. And wow, after years of bubbling under the surface, it feels like AI has suddenly arrived, and businesses are absolutely scrambling to keep up. And when we say suddenly, the scale is just mind-boggling. Get this, more than 1 million businesses are now using tools from OpenAI alone. Just OpenAI. This isn't some niche trend anymore. This is mass adoption happening at an incredible speed. But what's really going on here is deeper than just more companies signing up. It's about how they're using it. The number of enterprise seats for ChatGPT has grown 9 times in 1 year. But the use of AI for complex reasoning tasks, that's up a staggering 320 times. That tells you AI is being woven right into the very fabric of how these companies operate. So why this crazy, explosive growth? The answer is actually pretty simple. It works. People who are using these tools every day at their jobs are reporting real, tangible time savings. We're talking nearly an hour every single day. That kind of productivity boost is something no business can afford to ignore. And the real-world impact is just undeniable. Look at Intercom, cutting customer wait times almost in half. Or Lowe's, more than doubling its sales conversion rate with AI assistance. And Moderna, they turned a process that used to take weeks into something that now takes hours. These aren't just theories, they are absolute game changers for business. But this incredible boom has a serious shadow side. Yeah, all those amazing productivity gains we were just talking about, they are having a direct, and for many people, a pretty chilling effect on the professional job market. The revolution is definitely here, and it's coming with a cost. I mean, just look at this. Salesforce is openly considering a complete halt to hiring new software engineers, and their reason? Incredible productivity gains. PwC didn't just slow down hiring, they completely scrapped a public pledge to create 100,000 jobs. And even with record profits, huge firms like Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan are slamming the brakes on hiring, pointing directly to their new AI capabilities. And this might not just be a temporary slowdown. Listen to this stark warning from Dario Amodei, the CEO of the AI company Anthropic. He says AI could eliminate half, 50%, of all entry-level white-collar jobs within the next 5 years. That is just a staggering prediction. So which jobs are we talking about? Well, research from Goldman Sachs points to exactly where this is likely to hit hardest. It's the roles that are built on routine, pattern-based work. So we're talking about computer programmers, accountants, legal assistants, customer service representatives. These are the jobs that are right in the crosshairs. Okay, so we've got this massive productivity boom on one side and this really scary hiring freeze on the other. But here's the thing. These two giant forces aren't affecting everyone equally. Instead, what they're doing is carving out a huge new divide in the professional world. It's separating those who are leaning into AI from those who are being left behind. And to really understand this divide, we need to introduce a new term: frontier workers. These are the top 5% of AI users, the super users, the power adopters. Their habits are basically giving us a sneak peek of where the entire professional world is headed next. And the gap between them and, well, everybody else? It is already staggering. These frontier workers are 6 times more active and are using the advanced AI tools 16 times more often than the average worker. This isn't a small gap, folks. This is a chasm, and it is getting wider every single day. But here's where it gets really, really interesting. There's a major disconnect. The C-suite, the leaders, they estimate that only about 4% of their employees are heavy AI users. But when you ask the employees themselves, the real number is more than 3 times higher. The workforce is way ahead of its leadership, which points us directly to the real bottleneck in this whole revolution. And that brings us to the most critical part of this whole story. Navigating this new era, it turns out, isn't really about having the best AI models or the fastest computers. The real challenge, the greatest barrier to success, is all about leadership and strategy. So, you have to ask the question, what's really holding companies back from unlocking all of this potential? Is the technology just not quite good enough yet? Well, the data tells a very, very different story. 1%. Just one. That is the tiny fraction of companies that would describe their own AI deployment as mature, where it's fully integrated and driving big results. The technology is here, it's ready to go, but it seems like 99% of organizations are just not. The barrier isn't the tool's capability, it's organizational readiness. The real bottlenecks are human. Leadership is cited as the single biggest barrier. Almost half of leaders point to skill gaps in the workforce, but at the same time, they admit their own organizations are moving way too slowly. And what about building trust? Setting up the ethical and compliance guardrails. It's barely on the radar for most of them. So what's the path forward? Well, the data suggests 4 pretty clear steps. First, leaders need to set a bold vision that goes way beyond just a few small pilot projects. Second, invest in your people. Nearly half of them are actively asking for more formal AI training. Third, build on the trust you already have with your teams. And finally, you have to stay agile, because the pace of this change is only going to get faster. Ultimately, it all comes down to this powerful idea from Eric Brynjolfsson at Stanford. The biggest winners may be those who don't just automate, but reimagine how work is done. The real prize won't go to the companies that simply replace old tasks, but to those that fundamentally reinvent what is even possible. And that leaves us with a choice. This technology is creating a profound divide, but it's not something that's just happening to us. We are all active participants in this story. So the final question is, which side of the divide will you be on? And maybe more importantly, what are you going to do to help shape this new future of work?
If you want more clear explanations of major business and tech news, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss our business breakdown in the next one.